of feedback. But we are live on Facebook, so I just wanted to thank everyone for hopping on. Hate everyone on Facebook. Really, we just wanted to invite an investor. He was pretty close to us actually in Cincinnati. Mike Ealy. He's an investor developer and invest both in multifamily, and from my research with you, you also do hotels, which is super interesting. Which
yes,
I have some
yes.
questions for you. But Luke, do you have anything you want to say as far as?
I just want to say thanks. Thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time out of your day to come on here and for foregoing eating for a second here. So, so thank you so much, and we really appreciate you coming on here. So,
oh, not a problem, man, not a problem. Thanks for having me. Thanks for making me feel I'm worthy enough to meet you guys, man.
Oh no, man. Yeah, you'll have a ton of value to provide. That's why I thought it'd be really great to have you on. And really, I guess just to start off, one of the things we always ask the guests that we host is tell us a little bit about yourself. Like what's your story?
Okay. And let me know if I'm zagging or lagging or whatever, and I'll switch back. I just clicked this internet on. So about me, started in real estate back in 1999. I was fascinated about the world and how I was making money. But before 99, I went and read some books at the library. I was in high school, I was about 16 years old, 15, 16. And at the time I was like, the stock market is where you make money. I was like, that's it. I'm going to make money there. And I would never forget, at the time, junk bonds. And some of you may not know, some of you younger ones, like, what is a junk bond? Some of the older ones, you may know the junk bond. But that's where people were making money. And it was like a $50,000 minimum investment. And so when I saw that book, I put it right back on the shelf because I didn't have no $50,000. And so from there, what did I do? I saw Robert Allen, No Money Down, in the 80s, I think. And it was I like to call it idiot-proof book. It was so easy to read, on the level of Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, very simple, very straight to the point. Didn't really get into mindset, but really how to buy real estate and how to do it with no money down or minimum. And today, those same things I read in that book, I use in my larger deals, whether it's a single family house or a $20 million project. I use the same principles. But naturally, I didn't start off doing large deals, right? So then I went off to college. I was doing concerts and parties. And then, matter of fact, I didn't have any credit. I worked 3 jobs to fix it. Once I fixed my credit, I bought my first 2-family in 1999. Right before, to me, it was just getting a roommate. But today, they call it house hacking. Imagine that. So, and look, I didn't even know how to paint. I didn't know how to paint. Matter of fact, I was painting upstairs and they sent me back downstairs. They were like, you're terrible, man. And so, but that was the beginning of my career. And I got up to 20 units. Like I had 3 4-families, I think, two 2-families. Then I had like 2 full service car washes. I was making moves. I was making 300 grand a year. And you can't tell now, but I had long hair down to my shoulders, and or the Timberlands and the wife beaters, man. And then lost it all, brother. And moved back in with my mom and dad, and they painted the room pink and lavender, and that was it. And I started all over again, and I started working with other people. Like, look, I got to get this right. Let me figure out. So I had some friends that I went to to school with, to college with, and they wanted to get into real estate. So I showed them how, but I worked for fees. Like I did an acquisition fee, a management fee, a leasing fee. I managed it from the beginning to the sale, and the system worked. And I was like, this is how I do it. And I went back out and I started doing deals. And what was it? Single families. I started doing single families, buying in C neighborhoods, got me a private investor, by teaching courses. And well, this guy actually, I was a realtor as well, and he reached out to me saying looking for a 4-family, and we just started talking. And he was like, "Hey, I got 100,000. I understand what you're trying to do." And he lent me. He was my first line of credit or my first investor. $100,000 at 10% and at 2 points, and he funded my deals. And I kept flipping properties. So I would borrow money from him and another hard money lender, because I started with hard money lenders paying 14%, 5 points. I did that. And once I got experience, I was able to get people that would lend to me at a better rate. And that's when I stopped using the hard money lender. And uh-oh, 1 second, battery's going to go down. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's not mine. So then what else happened? So I got that. And then during the Great Recession, because again, I lost everything, right? I got foreclosed on, I lost all my properties, but during that process, I learned how to do short sales, buy mortgage notes, deal with loss mitigation. And so when the Great Recession came, I started short selling, buying notes for pennies on the dollar. So that's when I became stable. And then the multifamily market just opened up. I was buying multi-units for 4,000 a door, 8,000 a door, 12,000 a door, and they were all in C areas. And we began to sell them. And to this day, I'm unloading. And when I got into multi-units, that's when we started netting like $1 million a deal. And I was like, this is all right, man. Like I could do this. And but then as I got, a little older, I started, because I did some D and F neighborhoods. And I was like, man, that's challenging, man. And what I had as a portfolio, even though I upgraded to C, I still had some D and F properties. And I was like, I can't leave this to my family. If I'm gonna leave a legacy, I can't leave this. I need something a little more sophisticated. And that's where I went, and that's why I jumped into hotels. I was able to jump into a development, even though we didn't move forward on it. But then I started buying hotels, and now we partner with a group that has over 55 hotels, 1.8 billion under management, where they own and manage. And we together as a group done 3 or 4 hotels together. So in a nutshell, that's me, brother. That's how I got there. That's how we started. And now I'm here down in Florida, looking for some Class A deals, man. As a matter of fact, I came, met an investor, doing some marketing through our social media from Bolivia. And we're actually here today looking at projects in Florida, because he's more of a developer. And we found some amazing deals on the beach in downtown Sarasota. So sorry for the long-winded answer.
Oh no, that's great, man. That's great. It sounds like your path is similar to, I guess, what I hear from a lot of people. Similar to, I guess, what I hope to do. I'm kind of in the beginning phase of what you did, as far as I've got a few small multifamily, and mainly single family houses. But looking to get into the bigger deals, like you said, making $1 million on a deal is way different than making 40,000 or whatever.
Yes.
But one thing we always like to talk about is pros and cons, because of course there's going to be some things that are better, some things that are not as good. So
that's right.
You go through some of the pros and cons that you find with multifamily investing.
Well, let me talk about why I really started doing multifamilies. Well, I wanted to get into bigger deals, let's just say that. And so it's all about your environment, but what you see, your perspective. For example, and I'm gonna get to your answer here, the pros and cons, but like, for example, John, what was it? Back in 1959 or 1954, I guess, Roger Bannister was the first person to run the mile under 4 minutes, right? He was the first person. And then 45 days later, now look, for decades, for years, nobody ran the mile under 4 minutes. But Roger Bannister did it. Then 45 later, John Landy did it. And then 30 days after that, more college students were running under 4 minutes. Then high school kids were doing it. And so it was because they saw somebody else do it. It wasn't to them, they believed they could do it, right? And I think the reason a lot of people don't jump into big deals because they just don't know, and they don't believe they can do it. But when they see somebody that looks like them or around them or social, they trust, then that's when they're like, man, I can do this. And so I had, everything was timing for me as well. I was fortunate enough to be in this, I was the president of Corryville, which was a town, a community of Cincinnati, one of 53 communities of Cincinnati. And it just so happened, Uptown, which is of 7 neighborhoods, incorporated this Corryville. And so we were in a resurgence. They were doing major developments backed by the city and the state. So in our neighborhood, they were doing over $3 billion worth of development. I was fortunate enough to meet all these different developers, and I wouldn't necessarily call them friends, but associates. And associates is, these are guys that's doing 20 million, 50 million, $100 million deals. And they, they called me back. Like, first of all, they took my call. I was like, whoa, like, okay, you real people. Like, they're just real people. And, but what really did it for me to jump in that, I'm doing a single family flip. I'm doing a little 2-family, 4-family, right? And, I got issues with the plumber not showing up, the electrician not showing up, or I can't get it leased, or the people don't show up, or it was supposed to sell, but the contractor didn't finish the work in time for you to complete the sale or have it rented. And so I do all that, and, or they stole the copper, or, whatever, all kinds of stuff, right? And you only make $4,000 or $20,000 or $30,000, right? Which is all good, no complaints there. That's all good. But these guys were doing 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, $100 million projects. I'm watching. They had the same issues. Plumbers not showing up. I was like, but this is $100 million project. What do you mean he didn't show up? The contractor didn't finish I'm sorry. I got people calling me here. Sorry about that. It's a $100 million project, and the plumber didn't show up, or the contractor didn't finish the job. They had to refund the money because they didn't have the condo finished. But look, they went through all the same issues. I think you get the story. But they walked away with $1 million to $5 million to $10 million. I was like, well, shoot, if they got the same problems I got, I might as well do that too. Because they got the same issues. They just get paid more, just more commas. And so, but the challenge is not only that, raising more capital, right? That's one of the issues, and reporting. When you get into bigger deals, now you got to expand your team, okay? You just can't do that all yourself. Once you get about 20 units, you got to bring somebody else in, else you're going to run yourself ragged. Unless you got a nice system, like you got a maintenance man, you got a leasing agent, you got all these different people you can call, and then you can run. But my point, you still have to bring them in, whether it was a contractor or whether they work for you. And it's challenging once you're in that middle phase. You're not, like when you're at 20 units, maybe 30, but definitely 20 units below, unless you get top dollar, you can't really afford to have a property man. Well, you can contract a property management group, but you can't really hire a property manager. You can't have a full-time maintenance guy, So when you're small, you're kind of doing it all. You're a one-man band, right? Whereas when you get into larger units, you start to progress, and you can bring in people in so that you can handle that. But the other thing with doing smaller deals versus bigger deals is credit wise, like on a small deal, here's a perfect example, a hotel I did, right? So on a small deal, they looking at your credit, right? And they may challenge you. Now it could get done, but you got to get some hurdles. Like a partner have to sign for debt, right? Whereas on single families, they don't really go for that. Like you got to sign for the debt. Well, on these larger deals, I didn't even have the credit. Well, not necessarily the credit. I didn't have the balance sheet, right? This was a $10 million deal at the time. I know this is weird, but like I was only worth 2 million at the time, right? And I know that's like what? It's perspective, right? But this guy was worth 50 million. Guess what? But here's the thing: I don't care if you're worth 1 million, 2 million, if you ain't worth 10 million, they ain't gonna lend that money to you. And so I went and found someone that was worth 10 million, and guess what? They ain't even look at me no more. They ain't look at. It's like, okay, so what? You don't have the balance sheet. You got somebody. Then I didn't have the experience in hotels. Guess what? I went and got me some operating groups the group I partner with that have over $1 billion of hotels. Bam, I'm in. So that's the strength of the team. And that's the difference when you're trying to do it yourself versus there. Some doors just won't get open. But yeah, bigger deals like what I like, you got cash flow. And because I built up enough cash flow to come in, I'm able to talk to you guys. I'm able to hit the road and not worried about my bills back at home. I mean, that's the reality. That's what we're doing it to make money, to leave a legacy, to take care of our fam, to give our kids the best, whatever your dreams or hopes or whatever it is that you're hoping to accomplish, it's about the dollar bill. And that dollar bill is, allowed me to go look at bigger projects and study more, right? I mean, because if you work in, I'm not hating on nobody, man. I want to bring you up here, all right? All right. So when we talk about jobs, just over broke, okay? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking with you. Just over broke, man. That is not that I want you to have it all, right? And I want you to have the financial freedom, the freedom of your time, the freedom with your family, so that they may be free to make the choices that they want to make, man. I want you guys to even in your relationships, man. I want you guys to have it all. All right. So that's the difference of what bigger units have done. And it changed me. But again, money is right up there. Money's right up there. It's important, man. It's right up there with auctioning, but it's not everything. All right. And don't go with, hey, I saw somebody's text like I worked 3 jobs. Baby, I did it too. When I went broke, I had to fix my credit. I was working 3 jobs. I woke up at 1 in the morning to deliver the daily newspaper, driving my car. And then I come home and then I get me 2 hours, 3 hours sleep. And then I drove. Oh, then I went to my 9 to 5, right? I worked as an electrical contractor, electrical construction manager. And then after that, I went and sold ice cold beer at the stadium. Whether it was the Bengals or the Reds, I was right there, man. So I get it. And look, some of you love your jobs. That's great. Be an amazing passive investor and continue to build your wealth, whether you're active or passive. But those are some of the differences of the things that benefit.
Definitely. No, that's some great advice. Were you going to say something, Luke?
I was just going to say, I know one of the things you talked about self-limiting mindsets, essentially with, just people just don't believe they could do it sometimes. And then and so to follow up that, I'm curious what you think on it. Do you think people need to have some experience before going out and finding their team to build their team to try to do these bigger deals? Or do you think people can just go right into what's your thought process on that? Because I guess I've always had that same self-limiting mindset. I was a teacher, public school teacher, didn't want to tell anybody that I planned on quitting my job and retiring into real estate when I was 30 something, but because I didn't think I could really do it, even though that was my goal. And like, it literally just never told anybody until I finally did it. But I have that same limited mindset when it goes to investing in commercial, because that's where I want to go next. But I'll be honest, I don't know that I could do it. I feel like I could, but I don't know for sure. So do you think, what kind of experience do you think people need to have? Because I know some people would go out there and they say, just go straight for it right away, out of the gate, go for the big deals, and what do you say to that?
Yes and no. Yes, I'm saying go for it, but one of the things is your team. You know, if your team's strong and they're dependable, yes. If you have the education, yes. Um, I had some students that, you know, if they didn't have the proper education, I'll say no. But if you get it and you put the right team together, yes. Because look, when you get into big deals, you're responsible for other people's money. And when you get into bigger deals, when I start that, you crossing over that $250,000 investment, right? Deals I'm doing now are 1 million to 2 million. So not a problem. It's just a bigger number. I have no problem playing with it, but I'm very careful of what I put people's money in because I treat their money like it's my money, you know. And so I got to make sure that we're doing deals that's productive for everybody, that gives great returns for everybody. But yes, I do encourage. And if here's one of the things, people get what we call, everybody always know, analysis paralysis. You know, but you gotta start somewhere. Even if you don't do the deal, you gotta push yourself to go there. Start taking steps, because if you say, all right, I'll do it later, nothing's ever going to happen. You know, you know, it's about putting ridiculous goals together. You know, I'm kind of slide over here, but you know, I I began to create big BHAGs, as I like to call them, big, hairy, audacious goals, from what built to last, right? And and it wasn't until I put those crazy goals I started accomplishing big things and big changes, right? I said I was going to go do, you know, 100 million in deals, right? And next thing you know, I did 5 million in deals. I was like, whoa, oh, wait a minute. And then next thing I looked up, 3 years later, I did over 100 million in 1 year in acquisition. I was like, whoa, like, and first of all, it didn't even feel real, right? I was like, this doesn't really, this is what it feels like. Like, I don't feel no different, but like, okay, I can say it. Don't get me wrong, that floats the ego. All right. It floats the ego, baby. It floats the ego. But it's not that big of a deal. So then I was like, man, let's do 300 million. And this is coming from my partner, Nate. Nate is so optimistic. He'll run through brick walls. And we would be in the meetings, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do over 300 million this year. And he was like, whoa, like he didn't say nothing to me. But after we left, finally, after like this third meeting, he was like, yo, man, don't you think you're a little crazy with this 300 million? And I was like, why not, bro? You know, you don't got to speak it into existence. You got to take the steps forward. You got to set these goals and move towards it. And then once I started telling that, he was like, okay. I was like, because it's not until it wasn't until we start saying that things started happening. And when I start, and look, I had no idea where I was going to get money from, right? Because at 300 million, you need at least 20% down, whatever you're doing, right? So that's what, 30 million, 60 million. First of all, I was like, man, I ain't even raised 15 million. You know, some of y'all talking about 1 million. I ain't even got to the 15 million. And you talking about you need 60 million? But when I began to share, and look, not lying, we're not lying. I know that gets a little weird when you get into this belief thing, when you get these goals. But what happened when I was telling them where my projections, what we plan on doing, guess what happened? Like, because I had no idea where we're going to find these deals. Next thing you know, I'm sharing. Next thing you know, somebody hears it. And it's like, yo, I got a guy. It's the group. They own a portfolio. They own $100 million portfolio. They want to release 10 of those, and you could pick them up. I was like, sweet. Now where am I get the money? And then next thing they're talking, and then this other guy calls me saying, hey, oh, my guy does bonds and they do preferred equity. So with a combination of debt and his preferred equity, I have my capital. But it's not until you start speaking like that and moving towards that will it happen. Other than that, if I would have never shared what I was going to and what my goal was, nobody can help you, right? If you don't tell nobody what you're doing, I mean, you're either gonna have to do it yourself or get some assistance.
Definitely.
That's a good answer. I like that. I feel motivated now. I'm ready to go. I gotta set my goals higher. I think that's the bottom line there.
Yeah, no, man, you got to set the goals, brother. That's it. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you, just out of curiosity's sake, because obviously I did some research on you as well, and I watched a few of your videos.
Oh, I didn't do it, brother. I didn't do it. I did not do that.
Wow, you just answered my question.
That's the other guy he got hair. He looked just like me.
That's awesome. But no, but really that you talked about the hospitality space, hotels, and it's super interesting to me because I'm kind of in the commercial space as an agent, but I've met people who own portfolios of properties where, you know, there's this one guy that is part of an equity fund that only invests in hospitality, hotels around the country. And so I'm kind of interested in hearing your perspective on the hospitality space, like why hospitality, in particular hotels.
You know what? I'm a kind of go back, and I'm gonna kind of hit two questions here. So
Sure.
Why hospitality? Why hotels? And kind of touch on again, should you go do big deals? I remember I went to this hotel conference, and now some of you get in there, the hotel market is really dominated by the Indian population, right? Then Indian, then white, then Asian, then black, right? And so I go in, and first of all, well, I come back to that because people that buy hotels, man. But I'm gonna get into that. It's a couple of reasons. So one, I'm sitting talking to this guy, nice older. He ain't too old, you know, mid-50s and maybe early 60s. And he's got a sweatsuit on. It's one of the first days, you know, everybody's kind of suited up. He's in a sweatsuit. And we're just talking. He's telling me he's from DC and everything's good. And next thing you know, some people walk up to me and it's like, do you know who you're talking to? I was like, I mean, it's Will, I think it was his name. So it's Will, you know, he's a cool guy, you know, whatever. And it was like, and they showed me this magazine cover, and he was on the cover of it. And he had did over $1 billion worth of hotels in 10 years. 10 years. And I was like, what? It's like, yeah. I was like, did you know what you were doing? No. He said, he, you know, he looked like me, man. You know, I ain't got nothing against anything, man. You know, and I was like, really? Like, how'd you do that? And he was like, man, he was a corporate exec. Now he cheated a little bit, but not really. He was exec at McDonald's, and he was dealing with the marketing. And then he switched over to Marriott, and he worked at Marriott as executive. So he kind of understood putting the deals together, but he's never put a deal together with his own money and everything. And his first deal, he had to raise like 20 million. I was like, did you ever raise money before? It's like, never. I said, how'd you do it? I just figured it out. And within 10 years, no real estate experience. Now, y'all talking about a single family, four family. This guy ain't bought nothing and had over $1 billion worth of hotels in 10 years. So, you know, yeah, did he work? Yeah. So what can you do? Well, work with somebody or get into a training program that where you can learn to gain experience and watch the downfalls and work for somebody. Go to somebody where you can add value. And some of you are like, well, how am I work with this big developer that's doing $50, $100 million deals? Look, you can add value. You know, he doesn't have everything. He may need somebody to analyze, put spreadsheets or put executive summaries together. You may be good at that. You know, what is your superhero power? You know, what is your superhero strength? I'm good. My superhero power is meeting people and finding deals. That's my strength. That's what I do. That's easy for me. I got some people that's really good at analyzing. Now I'm good at construction, but I shouldn't be the one managing the job. Can I get it done? Yes. Will it look good when it's over? Yes. will I have any hair left? And as you can see, that's what happened. I don't have any more. And so that's that wasn't the real reason I went in a hotel, but that was another reason, like I'm in after seeing him. But before that, I was meeting all these different hospitality hotelers, and I was like, what do you do? They was like, I own a hotel. And these hotelers had a much different look than the guy that owns multifamilies. Like they were just so laid back, they were cheerful, and it didn't hurt that they looked good, like they were sharp, they were clean. And some didn't even dress up, but they all, you knew they were kind of had some money, and they were just real down to earth people with like no cares in the world. And I was like, I want to be like that as well. And that's what also brought me into hotels, because I was like, apartments, I don't have that kind of look. I was like, I don't look that relaxed. But it's all in the quality of the asset. And with hotels, you can buy it and really be hands off, because it generates so much income. As I told you before, do a big deal. You can hire quality staff. You can, I mean, you're paying a GM $75,000. Now, does that mean that GM is that intelligent or smarter than you? No, but he does know how to manage the hotel and probably do it better than you. But you're a big picture person. They're the smaller picture, right? Smaller picture. And they're kind of in this box. So that's what they do. And so you partner with people. I partner with a operating group, and they, manage it. And because of that, I'm free to talk to you guys, raise capital, and go visit other projects and see more deals. Because I've been on the other side. When I had the D properties and the F properties, I didn't have time to buy nothing else. As a matter of fact, I had a 30 unit, and the low income was called the West End. Now it's over the Rhine in Cincinnati. Some of you may know that. And now over the Rhine is like this new happening town, but it was the highest criminal activity location in the city. Matter of fact, in the world, in the US, not in the world, but the US. And now I was down there managing these low income properties. And, I'm literally stealing, they're shooting, and, I'm making money. But, I'm netting 30, 40,000 a year off this multi, but I have no time to do anything else. I was able to flip just one property a year. And finally, I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is driving me crazy. I'm the psychologist, I'm the parent, I'm like, and I'm not talking for my family, I'm talking about for the tenants. Right. And so I was like, man, I gotta get away from this. I gotta do something different. And I made that change.
Awesome. Yeah. And I guess as far as the hotel side goes, I mean, like you said, so you team up with like an operating group. So it's not necessarily like you're going out there and trying to interview a GM. Well, you have to, obviously we have to feel comfortable with their competency, but there are, I'm assuming, groups out there that can manage these hotels.
Oh man, there's tons of property managers for apartments. But when you kind of in smaller level apartments, you're kind of dealing with the average person, right? So they may not have high skill sets. I'm not saying they don't know how to manage, but they may not have all the technology. They may not have all the resources, right? Whereas you deal in bigger properties, you can hire a sophisticated management group that, it's not uncommon. I know people like, how many billionaires, right? Like personally, right? Well, there's plenty of multifamily and hotel managers that manage over $1 billion in assets. I know that I know that's kind of weird to say, like, what do you mean everybody? There's multiple people with $1 billion in assets. Well, it is, but it's perspective. But like, I never forget, I was talking to a hotel guy, and he's like, yeah, we're kind of a small boutique. This is how I describe this. So we're a small boutique shop. We have like 20 something full service, maybe 30 full service. And we have over $1 billion in assets. And I was like, first of all, this will stop. First of all, when does $1 billion be considered small and boutique? Like, I don't know where you from, bro, but that ain't boutique or small to me. But yeah, you know, those are the things that those are the difference. Those are the why you kind of go after that, and you can put your operating team. The team is everything, man. But like I said, when you do multi-units, there's a lot of moving parts, and so you know you need a good lawyer because you're going when you start bringing in partners, you got to have an operating agreement, and if you really get deep into it, you taking private people, you're taking money like syndicating. Uh, you know, you're supposed to have what they call a PPM, private placement memorandum. That's this basically, I could call it a 100-page document that scares you and tells you you can't do anything, and the developer is not responsible for anything. And but the layman's term, that's a $15,000-$20,000 document that you need to raise capital. But that's just a drop in the bucket on deals, you know, because once you play in this game, it's an expensive game. But you know, I've had deals where we put a PPM together and we didn't even move forward on it, and so you know that cost me $3,000 to $7,000 in legal fees. But you know, that's just one aspect of it. So you know, it's just a big toy.
This is probably our last question before we go open it up to the other people for the floor. But could you walk us through a deal that you did, one of your favorite deals over the years, as far as like how you found the deal, how you raised the money, what types of strategies you use for that, those types of things? Sounds like that's kind of your specialty, and kind of like how the numbers worked out for the deal.
Yeah, not too much detail, but and I always talk about this one. This is one of my first deals I netted $1 million, and it's Oak Harbor and Cincinnati, Seed neighborhood. And we had just like at the time, I didn't even know. Now here's again, I didn't even know internal rate of return. I didn't know nothing about cap rates. I understood cash on cash, but I didn't know anything about equity multiple. I didn't know any of these. This is kind of how they analyze deals. And so I went on LoopNet, and to this day, I still say, man, LoopNet, man, you ain't gonna find no deals. But I'm very biased because I found some of my best deals have been through LoopNet. It's just you don't find them all the time, right? They come one every couple of years. But some of my best deals are LoopNet. But anyway, I happened to find this on LoopNet, and we went through it. And fortunately, we developed a relationship with the broker, and he was like, yeah, you can get it. And that was one of the deals we bought right before the market crashed in the Great Recession. We bought at $4,000 a door. And so immediately, not even doing numbers, because I didn't know numbers really, I just knew I could sell that as is for $400,000 or $600,000. That's what I knew. That was the one thing you did. The book again that followed you. Okay. What is they mentioned the book of Robert Allen, No Money Down. I think it's in the 90s now. Robert Allen, No Money Down in the 90s. But my partner Nate was like, yo, because we already had managed some properties, some bigger units. He's like, we're gonna do this deal. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'm in. And we already had an investor we were working with, and he funded the deal. You know, he funded it he gave us $300,000 at 11% with 2 points. One investor funded the whole thing because it only cost us roughly $4,000 a door to renovate, averaged all the way out. And now I'm gonna tell you now, all deals don't work out like this, all right? So I'm giving you this disclaimer: all deals don't work out like this. But this one it kept winning. And so, first of all, I was like, well, I know the biggest thing. Here's simple terms: as long as you're bringing in more income than your expenses, you're good. Keep it simple. More income than your expenses. That means your mortgage note, taxes, insurance, management, reserves, escrowing for taxes, turnovers. You budget all of that. And when I did that number, I still had money left over. And now I had no real idea what the value was, because to me, I was one that's like, oh, somebody would pay $700,000. And you'd be like, well, how do you know that? Well, because I saw some properties down the street sell for that. but you don't really analyze properties, multifamily like that. It's all based on the amount of money and the cash flow and cap rate, but that's another story. And so my partner was like, look, I'm gonna handle construction, you handle leasing it. And at the time, we only had 8 tenants out of 48 units, and 12 of the units were gutted. So again, 8 tenants out of 48 units, and 12 units were gutted down to the stud. So he starts working, and I'm getting creative because remember, I started in DNF neighborhoods, so I had to be creative when I bought something. And so I went to a leasing program. I went to an agency. And I said, hey, you know, because I'd leased to them before. I was like, hey, I just bought this multi-unit. You got any tenants that could use it or clients that could use it? Like, really, Mike? I was like, yeah. It was like, how many units you got? I said, I got 32 available. And she said, you know what? I'll take them all. I was like, what? What's the rent? I was like, 500. She's like, what's the deposit? 300. She said, here's a check. And she wrote me a check for the first month's rent and deposit. Unheard of. And I ain't had the building finished. I was like, this is the gift that keeps on giving. And we got it fixed up and we got it rented. Now, it was great because I got my check every month and they paying their money in this program now. But I was renting to like substance abuse or mental health issues, right? So they did a little more damage to the properties than a normal tenant would. Then in addition, it was kind of my first thing. So we didn't know no better about really fixing the property up, right? Being cheap. You know, there was cabinets that we probably should have replaced. You know when you should replace it. There should have been furnace. When you saw it, you knew it needed to be replaced. You'd be like, we ain't got time for that. We ain't fixing that. And I didn't. Well, what happens is now over a period of time, you saw it was leaking, at least fix the plumbing, or you just did enough, but you instead of replacing the part, you just fix the part. Nah, man. If the cabinet is damaged, quit trying to bootleg it and put a wood piece of board in there and paint it and then hammer it back together. Just replace the cabinet. Because what happens is you're going to run into a part where your cash flow is low and you may not have been reserving. And guess what happens? An incident comes and then they call in late at night. Then you can't get nobody. Then on top of it, you finally got somebody, but you can't even get the part in. And now you went 3 days or 4 days without even fixing this. And now your tenant calling you and then they complaining, and all you had to do was do it right the first time. I think you get the point. And so, but anyway, we ended up finished that. We were all in for 400,000 was said and done because I ended up replacing the roof later on. 6 years later, after all those headaches but good partnership, we ended up selling it for 1.6 million. We gave away 100,000 in credit. And so we netted 1.5 minus fees. We netted like 1.1 or a solid million. And that's when I was like, ooh, baby, this is it. And I put $1 million in my bank account and I took pictures of it, baby. I took pictures of it.
Hell yeah.
Frame that, man.
Yeah, I made it rain in the bank. But here's the thing, then that money was gone. I went and bought some more deals right after that. So we didn't stop there, man. But I did do something. Did I? Yeah. I think that's when I bought my car. Yeah. I bought my dream car, which was an Escalade, and I paid cash for it. And then I reinvested everything back. That was the first biggest purchase I've made.
Well deserved, man. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Awesome to hear.
Well, go ahead. Let me start these questions. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. No, we want to respect your time too, and I know you're probably starving too. So I'll do is I'll read off a question that we just got. Muritala was asking. I think you mentioned at the beginning. So does she need to build up her net worth in order to the purchase price of the property she wants to buy? So, for example, if she
I get it. Yeah. So when you get into larger deals, they want to see that you have that net worth of whatever you're buying. So if you're doing a $2 million deal, they want to see a net worth of $2 million. But it just doesn't have to be you. You can put 4 people together, and if y'all are worth 500,000 each, then, you know, there's your 2 million, right? Or you get one person that's worth 2 million or a million or whatever. And then you could do the deal. So, you know, it's all about teamwork.
It's awesome. All right. Any other questions we can throw his way?
Mike, real quickly, what's next for you? I mean, you've checked off a lot of boxes in your days. You've accomplished a lot, but a guy like you always has more. So what's next?
Yeah, my next one, man, that's why I'm here in Florida, man. I saw these developments that I really wanted, because my dream was kind of like have a penthouse or something, big, large hotel on the beach, and one downtown. Now I realize, and I'm telling you, B has thinking big. You know, 2 years ago, these deals have been sitting there, and I passed because I was like, man, that's just too big. And I was like, man, I can't development. That's not what I do. And finally, I put the right people together, man. And I could do it, but now I really understand it. And, you know, that's a lot of times recognizing the opportunity. So without a doubt, I want to go after this hotel. I built this condo, apartment, hotel on the beach. And like, man, I'm being heaven, truly. And look, and I say that because you don't have to die to get to heaven, baby, man. You can have heaven right now. So don't wait to die to get there. All right. Yeah. And look, guys, you know, I am kind of, what do you call it? A plug, but look, man, from broketomillions.com, that's my book I wrote. I share all these different secrets. So it's a $19 investment, or you can get a hard copy for another $8, and we'll ship it right out to you from broketomillions.com. And I share all these secrets. I share more detail of the deals I've done, and we offer classes as well. So, you know, however we can be beneficial, you know, we always love to help people, man.
Yeah.
Not all. Somebody had a question. I'm gonna do 2 more questions, and I really got to get out of here.
Oh, for sure.
I apologize.
No worries. Yeah, and I bought your book too. I bought your book, and
Oh, okay.
I got the ebook, and I think I'm waiting on the book right now, so I'm excited to check that out.
Okay. Let me know. I can't find the question. I don't know where they went.
I mean, I guess I'll have one question for you, and then we'll
Yeah.
wrap it up and kind of give you time to, you know, eat some food. I know you're probably starving and
Yeah.
tired and everything, but I guess last thing, would you be able to provide us with any like of some of your top resources? I know you've already mentioned your book and everything else. Anything else as far as like podcasts or anything that you found inspirational when you were kind of up and coming and moving on up in your career?
You know, the man, you know, the big thing is what you need, what you're lacking, and go find it. Like, I was listening to Eric Thomas. I needed a little more motivation. I just stumbled across him, and so I listen to him every week. I stumbled across a guy, Dan Loke, and I that's where I learned how to close my deals, because for a year I was pitching people on deals and was not closing. Out of a year, I raised $1 million, maybe 2, and then guess what? I had to turn it down because it wasn't the right fit. Imagine that. I worked all this time to raise money, and then I only got $1 million, and I had to turn it down. But after studying, I listened to Dan Loke, and then I found some other people. I was able to put this pitch together. Now, anybody that calls me, I'm closing like crazy. Like, I'm closing the door on it. That's it. Like I'm walking in the house. I'm closing it. So, you know, but I encourage people to join Facebook groups. Find something you're comfortable with. We have one, Apartment Investing Secrets, but there's there's just tons of them, man. Find something that you like, man, and where they share all the information. And, you know, I think you guys will go well. But look, I really got to get out of here, man. Thank you. I still got 2 more meetings I got to hit. But again, I apologize, man, but thank you so much for having it and waiting on me. And like I always like to tell my people before I get out of here, man, God bless you, God keep you, and may God bless you beyond your belief, but not your capacity. And remember, you're one big deal away. See you later, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Mike. It was really great seeing you, man.
No
well,
worries,
I guess
man.
we'll go ahead and wrap it up for everyone as well.
Yeah,
Thanks
yeah.
again for all you guys who showed up and continue to engage with the group. And I guess what we'll go ahead and do, wish you guys a happy Christmas, a happy new year, because we'll reconvene in January, and we're actually hosting Scott Trench January 13th. So that'll be a really good meeting. So hopefully we'll see you guys there soon, and have a great holiday season.
All right. Thanks, y'all. See ya.
See you guys.